you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world, this is Coast to Coast. Got everybody here. Pags is in the car. Where are you headed, man?
Pittsburgh. So, yesterday the Flyers smacked around the Penguins. So I'm coming out here. That's my first time ever going to a Flyers game in Pittsburgh.
Okay. Nice.
So, and I'm also doing some type of radio event. I think the Sports Talk radio station is celebrating their 15th anniversary. And since all the Pittsburgh teams stink right now, I'm going to probably be talking to them about the Eagles and how great we are on the other side of the state.
Working on some hate mail. I got you.
So, realistically, there's something more to talk about here now because the Eagles, for the first time in franchise history, are above 500. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's interesting to find out how many actual teams are above 500. My thoughts are the Patriots would have to be one of them. The Steelers, probably. The Cowboys, probably. 49ers, I guess.
49ers have to be, yeah.
Yeah, you would think so. Over the course
Maybe the Packers.
Packers are. Packers and Bears are for sure.
Sure about the Bears?
Yeah, the Bears.
I don't know about the Bears. Yeah, I'd be interested. I feel like that would be a lot closer to 500, or maybe a touch below 500 for the Bears. I don't know.
Let me see. I can pull this up. So let's see here. The Dallas Cowboys have the best. The Dallas Cowboys are 569 and 423. Ravens are 268 and 199.
Okay.
Packers are 811 and 605. Bears are 798 and 646.
Wow, they're a lot higher up above than I thought they would be.
Dolphins are 504 and 408. Chiefs are 547 and 441. Vikings are 537 and 438. Patriots are 545, 446. Steelers are 681, 585. Frisco and the Colts are both like 560 and 510. Yeah, there's a lot of teams that are actually above 500.
Yeah.
The first team under 500 is the Los Angeles Chargers at 494 and 495.
Wow.
And then the Eagles are 639 and 638.
We're above. We are a winning franchise at the moment.
Yep.
And then the worst team winning percentage wise is the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Really?
Yeah,
I would have thought that would have been more like the Detroit Lions or the Browns.
So the Detroit Lions are at 461 winning percentage wise. The Browns are 486 winning percentage wise. They're 514 and 544.
Got ya.
The Bucks are 318 and 457 for a 410 winning percentage.
And they're the worst.
Yep, they're the worst. Jacksonville's at 417. The Cardinals are at 422. The Texans and the Jets are 437.
Damn. Jets started out in the league really great, and then they pooped to bed.
Both Seahawks are sitting at 519 winning percentage, number 14 in the NFL.
Yep. 402 to 373.
Yep.
Over
and who's going to be quarterbacking? Who's going to be quarterbacking this year?
Geno's still. I think Geno's in year 3. Isn't he?
Geno's under contract.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's not really a better option for this coming year bang for the buck, what he's been able to do for what he's getting paid. Like, you're not going to get somebody that's produced what he is for what he's getting paid. And there's nobody really in this draft that you're excited about, nor do they have the position to go get anybody anyway. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna ride out Geno here, because I mean, your best free agent option is what, Darnold.
Darnold's going to cost a lot of money.
He's going to cost a lot. Cousins would die behind the line. You're not bringing Wilson back. You know, like it's not, nobody wants the cancer that is Rodgers. Like, there's just not great options. And then when you look at the draft, you're not going to get Ward or Sanders. Not that either one of them are ready to rock week one anyway. I mean, they would both be best fit to sit a year. And then everybody else is a third or fourth or later round quarterback. So, I mean, there's realistically, when you're looking at what's available, you kind of have to stay with Geno.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you just stink again?
It means that they'll be battling for that number 7 seed.
What it means is they need to spend some time actually drafting offensive line, especially since Jason Peters retired today or yesterday, and is going to be part of the front office. So, not that he.
So he's becoming part of the front office of Seattle.
He is.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll help. You know, if he's going to be part of, coaching up the O line. I mean, it didn't really say exactly what his role is going to be yet, but it sounds like he's moving upstairs somewhere.
Well, I'm sure that they gave him that just so that he could be like, "Hey, you need to retire, buddy. If you don't want to leave, then that's fine. We'll just have to make you a coach, because ultimately he's been 4 years done."
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's like I was saying that, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, he was 2 years past his prime. And they kept giving him checks. And then he kept getting hurt.
I mean, the thing is, as bad as our offensive line has been, he had playing time. So,
yeah.
I mean,
but he was part of the reason why it was so bad.
But when you are the best option that's out there, that says a lot about how bad your line is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one of the things. They better be all over getting offensive linemen, because I don't care who you have under center. If it's the turnstiles that they were last year, it wouldn't matter. Everybody's getting hammered. Like, you could have Josh Allen back there, and he's going to, lead the league in sacks based on what that offensive line was last year.
Right.
Rodgers has been washed.
So the NFL just released their NFLPA report cards for each organization, where they rank the organizations 1 through 32 based on like treatment of families, food, dining, nutrition, locker room, training staff, etc.
Arizona come in last again?
Arizona came in last again. Who do you think came in first?
Oh, who was it last year? Who came in first? I think it was like the Bills or something last year.
No, they came in first last year also, so they got first and second straight year.
Oh, okay.
Miami Dolphins got first for the second straight year.
Okay.
Where do you think your teams and my team rank?
The Seahawks, I'm going to go with like 11.
Seahawks are 15.
Okay. Yeah.
I would have said. Yeah, as far as treating the fans, like, this is what goes into this. Like, what's treatment of families, food and dining area, nutrition, locker room, training room, training staff, coaches, travel, all that stuff.
It's the facilities and the facility care team. So when their families are there, how they take care of them.
Eighth. I'm going to say eighth.
Eagles are 22nd.
Ooh. Okay.
Eighth from the bottom is what I meant.
Yeah. And the Minnesota Vikings are number 2.
Okay.
Behind the Dolphins.
Nice.
So this is on opposing teams.
No, this is like how I don't know how this is done, but it's like whenever teams like go travel or whatever, it's just grades of
So
the
basically it's how the players view the building they're in.
Yeah.
So Arizona always gets last because they still charge the team for like food and stuff.
Yeah.
Do they really?
Yeah, it's one of the only teams in the league that does it. But yeah, like if
It's
you
one-
want
it's one
something,
of-
you have to go pay
It's
for
one
it.
of it's one of 3 teams that charge like their players for food, and that's the 3 teams that charge their players for food are the teams that are ranked dead last, 30 through 32.
Yeah, of course.
The Browns,
So-
Patriots, and Cardinals in that order. So Browns are 30th, Patriots 31, Cardinals 32.
And the Patriots charge their players for food.
Yep.
Which is
Wow.
hilarious because it's owned by
Pizza
Correct.
Man.
who makes all the food.
Right? He makes pizza and cheese.
That's right.
So
The thing that I kind of find fun, the thing that I find really funny is they have the Jets ranked 29th, and they have the Giants ranked 20th. It's the same facility. So
No,
unless
the personnel is different.
I was gonna say unless the Giants personnel is that much better, but
No, it is. Like what those rankings are is all about the personnel,
Yeah.
right? And that's even true when it comes to the food in the facility, because the facility is literally just the building, right? So they share a building, which who cares? But is the owner charging you for this stuff? Because it's 2 different owners. It's not like
Yep.
the same owner owns both teams. So they are going to be ran differently, even though they have very similar results as of late.
yeah, they
well,
said
not only that though, but isn't it like they have training facilities that are different? I got to imagine, right?
They do.
Because the Jets training facility is like kind of there in the parking lot.
mhm.
I don't know where the Giants are at. They're on the other side of the parking lot. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they do have different training centers, but I mean the biggest factor is the personnel, because
Yeah.
it's how players are treated and all of that.
And that's where they were talking about this. It says like kind of the odd tidbits with this. The New York Jets ownership ranked 32nd, dropping the Jets from a B- in rank 13 last year to an F this year,
Sweet.
and having him go basically from 13 to 29. The Atlanta Falcons made the biggest jump, going from 2025 and 2024 to 3rd this year. Their high scores are credited by major facility upgrades, a nice weight room, a nice locker room, dining room, and just the way the fans and family are treated. Carolina Panthers received a D in travel after the new coaching staff moved players from first class to coach class. So that helps your grade. And then Cincinnati is the only team in the league to provide neither game day daycare or a game day family room. So they don't actually have like a family daycare center for Cincinnati.
Ah,
Interesting.
so if you need a babysitter, tough.
Tough. They're sitting in the stands with you, freezing their ass off.
I mean, I feel like these guys are millionaires. They could probably hire a babysitter.
Well, no, I think that, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works unless they're, I don't know why that even matters.
I mean,
Because
it matters because it's an amenity that,
but
some teams offer and some
how many
don't.
families get the press box anyway? So it's not like you're taking your family like into the actual stands where the weather is going to be a factor. Like 90% of these families sit in the press box anyway.
Well, that depends on the family. There's plenty of families that are sitting in the stands, especially if you're a rookie.
Oh yeah.
Plenty of them, like most of them.
Yeah, like with the girlfriends and stuff like that. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, because all players have to pay for their tickets. They all have to buy their tickets.
Yep.
And same thing with like when they sign each other's jersey,
Yeah, they have to buy the jersey.
and they got to buy the jersey.
That's like when they throw a ball into the stands, like that comes from them. Like they have to buy the ball.
Yes,
You want to know how you get ranked dead last? The
be the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, no, I said, do you want to know how you get that bad of a ranking? The Cardinals expressed concerns of the team facility, complaining that the space needs to be modernized and expanded. The franchise also scored an F- in the locker room, an F- in the weight room, an F- for food, and an F for training staff.
Yeah, no, I mean that's literally
good.
exactly the rankings they had last year. Like they have done nothing to better the situation. I don't think ownership cares.
Yeah, and then Miami Dolphins scored an A+ in 7 of the 11 categories and did not receive lower than an A in the other 4. They had an A or an A+ in all 11 categories.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that is kind of impressive. I mean, I don't know. I can't stand that stadium.
No,
But that's just me.
Same thing with the Commanders. The Commanders were 32nd the last 2 years, so they were actually lower than Arizona last year, and they made the jump all the way to number 11 this year.
Oh, was Arizona last the year before that?
Yeah, Arizona was last year before. So Washington went from 32 to 11, and it's largely credited because of Dan Quinn, the staff he brought in, and the culture that he created inside that locker room.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing is your game day stadium doesn't have to be amazing as far as these rankings are concerned. This is more of training facilities and all of that. So
Dan Quinn played a massive role in this Washington's rise up the rankings.
Sure.
Yeah, if you're winning, you don't care as much about what everything looks like.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, staff matters so much when it comes to these rankings. So, like, if you bring in a staff that is, pro player, you're going to rank a lot higher.
So, I mean, like I said, 20 seconds for the Eagles. I mean, they have their own facility. I mean, I thought that the training staff was pretty good. They just won a Super Bowl, and most of them were healthy during it. There was only one injury out of the whole starting 22. So, okay. In Miami, everybody's happy because it's gorgeous weather all the time, and you live in Miami.
Right. You don't have to pay state taxes either.
Yep.
All of that goes into everything. In Philadelphia, you got to pay the city tax, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think that's like 3.5%.
Yep.
Off the top. That's like off the top before anything else. So that's why the guys are happier when they go play somewhere else.
Hey, at least the Miami Dolphins can win at something.
Yeah, because they can't win. They can't win football games most of the time.
Exactly, they can win something. This can be their participation award. We participated in the season. Here's our reward. We have the best team environment.
Everybody's happy, and you're by the beach. Like
you said, Atlanta went number 2.
No, Atlanta went from number 25 up to number 3. Minnesota's number 2.
Nice.
Got ya.
Yeah, I mean
is the facility? Is the facility in the dome?
No, their facility is actually like 20 minutes away from where the field is. It's right off of the main highway that you take from Wisconsin to Minnesota, but it's like a gigantic 200-acre facility that's just right off the side of the highway.
So where does Green Bay rank on that?
Green Bay ranks 8th or 9th.
That's higher than I would have thought.
It's a lot of it to do with the history of the organization, and like they do have a nice facility that's right across the street from the stadium. Like they have a really nice practice facility. They have a lot of nice amenities since they've redone that stadium a lot.
They do. You just always hear about the players complaining about having to get to the field from.
That's the only knock is like the locker room and kind of they got like a C- for like locker room and a C- for like some of that stuff, but they got an A for practice facility. They got an A for a couple.
Yeah, because they got to so many of them ride a bicycle.
No, they do that. They do that. That's just one of the tricks they do. Like they walk from where their locker room is to the practice facility, and it's like a quarter-mile walk, so it's not like anything
Yeah.
close. But they just do the bike thing just because it's tradition.
Well, I would do the bike thing because it'd be faster.
I would just take a golf cart and be like, "Put me on here."
Yeah, or that, or whatever. But I mean, yeah, like that's always the thing I assume they get blasted for is you go get suited up and then you have a quarter-mile walk to get to the practice field.
Funny thing is, 2 years ago the Packers were ranked 23rd. Last year they were ranked 21st, and the big issue last year was a certain person in the locker room killing the locker room vibe.
So him leaving raised them 2 points.
No, him leaving took him from 23 to 21, and then Devontae Adams leaving took him from 21 to 9.
Dang.
Because those two were basically considered locker room cancers by the end of their Packer tenure, and it was just creating a not so fun environment.
Kudos to Adams for being incredibly efficient. He wasn't even there a whole year and was that big of a cancer in the building. That's amazing.
It's amazing what happens when people the team doesn't like leave. Get a better working environment.
On that note, Rodgers reportedly wants to go to LA and bring Devontae with him. So,
I don't think it's
as a Seahawks fan, I really hope the Rams do make that happen.
I don't think the Chargers are going to do that. They have Justin Herbert, so I don't think they're going to do that.
No. The Rams is what he's like. I figured it was easy to figure out which team I was talking about.
Well, Sean McVay shot that one down today.
What's that?
Sean McVay shot that one down today.
Well, everybody should.
Yeah. It's like our top priority is to retain Matthew Stafford right now.
That's funny, being as they've talked about moving him for the last month.
Yeah.
Now, I know most of that is because he wants to make $50 million plus a year, but
which he won't get anymore.
What's happening, Chad? I mean, someone would give it to him.
Really? You think?
Sure.
Jets would give it to him.
Sure. Trevor Lawrence is getting it. I mean, there's 6 guys making 50 plus.
Yeah, but none of them are any good.
Yeah. So you go with Stafford, who still throws the ball well, has won a Super Bowl, has success in the postseason.
Yeah.
Like, someone will give it to him. It won't be a long-term deal, but someone will give him 2 years at 50.
So you think he winds up going to New York?
I could see him in Minnesota.
I don't think so.
Not for that price tag, no.
I think. I mean, I don't know. They might they might give him like a 4-year voidable year action to make the cap allow it.
Not for that. If anything, the only person I could see getting that is Sam Darnold, and
Darnold's not getting that.
They had Questy on NFL Live yesterday, and he was talking about the dialogue that he had with Darnold, and he's like, "We have the financial numbers in place for what we want a contract to look like for Darnold." He said it's north of 37, south of 48. So it's somewhere between 37 and 48 million.
Yeah, I was figuring he was going to be in that like 43, 45, something like that. The Giants would be a terrible fit for Stafford. Or Cousins, because neither one of them move well enough for that offensive line to not get them killed.
Right.
Like, they would have to spend all of their draft capital on offensive line.
As they should. Anyways.
I mean, probably true, but they would probably need all 7 of them on the field at the same time.
Every time, like every play.
Exactly.
I could see the Browns going after Matthew Stafford and still drafting Cam Ward.
Yeah, I could see the Browns doing that. I could see them actually targeting Cousins as well.
Just using them as a mentor, basically.
Top success with Flacco, and Flacco is that same guy, right? So, I mean, if you have a more accurate thrower in either one of those guys, you would think that they could have reasonable success.
And then you can still draft Cam Ward, and then there's your mentor for Ward.
Yep. In that scenario, I think you have to go get Stafford instead of Cousins, though.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see Stafford as a Cleveland Brown.
Not me either. Like I would rather stay in LA than go to Cleveland.
Right.
Yeah, Giants with Justin Fields. That does not help your franchise.
Neither does the Jets. So going to New York right now is not the best option. I think. I mean, like I said, if you're the Jets, are you in for a penny, in for a pound? Like, are you stuck because you just got rid of Rodgers? You know, you paid that money. Do you go try to get a quarterback that's at least won a Super Bowl?
Well, and do you want to sign there? Because realistically, they're rebuilding now on the Giants' end. Do you sign there because everybody probably gets fired after this year?
No, I'm talking more like the Jets. I mean, I'm trying to think of the Jets wide receivers. They definitely have. Yeah, they do have a decent running back, right?
Breece Hall. You have Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, and Breece Hall. So at least you have 3 legitimate offensive options if Devontae Adams stays there.
So Adams isn't going to be there, though.
He's got 1 year left.
Yeah, it's a voidable year, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. They may not void him. Like, if they go and get, like, a free agent quarterback, we'll just say Matthew Stafford, for example. If they go and get a guy like Matthew Stafford, they're not voiding that option on Devontae Adams. They're going to want Adams, Wilson, and Breece Hall together with Matthew Stafford to see what they can do. Because otherwise, there's no point to bring Matthew Stafford in if you're going to take away one of his offensive weapons before he really.
I mean, unless you're drafting one, like they have their draft picks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could move off of Adams, especially if he's viewed as much of a cancer as they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean,
at that point, you clear his salary out and go draft somebody because there are receivers in this draft.
Yeah, and the Giants only have Malik Neighbors as really their main offensive weapon, so it's going to take them a lot longer to get some help on offense versus the Jets at least have a couple pieces on offense that you can work with.
No.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other spot that he could actually fit. And I don't know of any other spot that he fits.
Devontae?
No, I'm not talking Devontae. I'm talking about Stafford.
Oh. I mean, what about New Orleans?
Yeah, but that's not a fit. That's just they need a quarterback. And they ain't got, I know they got Olave and stuff like that, but they've got so many other problems. You're not going to outscore teams.
Yeah, I know the Raiders had reached out to Stafford's camp. That could be interesting because they do have a good defense, and towards the end of the year the numbers didn't look great, but that's because they lived on the field because the offense didn't show up.
And now I can see the Titans maybe.
Stafford could work there again
Titans.
if they draft a receiver, or grab one of these free agents. That could work.
Then you have the Titans too. Titans need a quarterback. Their defense wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either.
They're drafting number 1 overall, right? The Titans.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're going to draft Cam Ward. I feel like that.
I don't think they start Cam Ward right away though.
Sure, you do.
You think so?
Why not? He's the most pro-ready in this draft. You already suffered through Will Levis.
Yeah.
Like, you might as well shove him out there, see what you got. Like, I think he would benefit from going somewhere where he could sit for a year. But being the number 1 overall pick, that ain't going to happen. You're going to go to a bad team, and you're going to start right away. Rob, I don't know if he has a no-trade clause. I'm not sure about that.
He does not.
And I did see that Schneider said Gino's our guy, and they're talking extension. And it makes sense because, again, there's nobody on the horizon that fits the bill. I would imagine it is very incentive-based, and I'm sure there's going to be voidable years. Like, they're probably going to give him – if they get this done, it will likely be a 2-year, and then everything after that will have, outs for the Hawks.
Yeah, I sort of give him another 60 million, 70 million. That's about it.
No, he'll probably get a deal that's north of that. He'll probably get something that is in the range of like 48 would be my guess. just because of the guys that have gotten 50 to 55, that he's outperformed. So I'm going to go, and he's outperformed a lot of those guys with a worse offensive line. So I would think he's going to be somewhere in that 48, 50 mil kind of per year range.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I guess then, and if that's the case, then you, what are you going to give him, $115 million signing bonus and make it like 4 years? Really, that's a 3-year contract. You're going to be eating some at 3 years in.
Yeah, so I would bet that it is front loaded, similar to Kirk Cousins, right? So it's going to be 2 years are going to be the bigger paydays.
Yeah.
And then it will be less on the back end. Some of it because it allows you to move off him, and some of it will be because a lot of our other guys will be ready to sign contracts that are rookies or in their second year now. So if you do that, then all of a sudden the big parts of the cap hit are out of the way when you have to sign some of these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Like, if you're saying about 48 million, that's 96. If you went crazy, like I said, if you're giving them about 115 million over 4 years, you could extend it over 4 years so that you could have as little as a cap hit as somewhere around 28 million.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you were to go heavy, you could say, all right, 50 million and 50 million. Well, now you only have 15 million to eat in year 3, which again kind of makes sense in that grand scheme of things.
And that's exactly how I do it, because then, you're also kind of on the tail end of where Geno is going to be good, right? Because at that point, he's going to be like, 38, something like that.
Yeah.
So, because that would be 3 years out from today. So I think it'd be somewhere right in there. But, and then hopefully by that time you have your eyes set on somebody anyway. Even if he's not in the room, hopefully you at least have a plan.
Right. You better have a plan, or else you're going to be,
Exactly.
the Seahawks.
Yep. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine with him staying. It makes sense, just based on production. I mean, 2 out of the 3 years of him starting, he set the yardage record for the Seahawks.
Yep.
Behind horrible offensive line play. So, I mean, I can't hate on the guy too much if, you had a decade of Wilson who threw the ball a lot in the second half of his career here. And, he's outperformed some of those years. So, I mean.
Right. How do you think that Pete Carroll will do in Vegas?
I mean, the opportunity is there, right? Like, they have a good defense. They have a rock star tight end. They have some pieces. So if they can lock down a quarterback, which is why it made sense that, they went and talked to Stafford. They might take a look at Cousins, right? Maybe they chat with Russ because they can get him so cheap. So, I mean, like, there's things that they can do. Obviously, they have some draft picks as well. So the biggest thing is they need this to turn around. Like, they need to take a sizable step forward this coming year because, I mean, at the end of the day, he's 73?
Yeah.
So it's not like you have a long rebuild ahead of him, right? Yeah. Like, I would imagine by 77, he's probably done, right? Even if you give him the full 5 years. But if that's a long rebuild, they would just be starting to get okay by the time he's retiring. I think the biggest thing for that team to me is how does he work with Chip? Like, that just seems like a weird coupling of coaches just because their style is so different. Like, I'm curious how that looks on the sideline.
Right.
Yeah, but Chip's kind of gotten away from the speed offense, right? I mean, he didn't run that in UCLA.
Yeah, well, and Jay, I think you're right here. It would be Chip as his heir apparent. No, personality-wise, I think is where it would be interesting because Pete is such a like pro player, rah kind of guy, right? High energy, whatever. Chip is kind of a douche, and so I'm curious how that.
He's not kind of. He's not kind of.
I was being nice. But so I'm curious how those personalities meld because on the surface, having watched these guys coach, it doesn't seem like a great scenario.
Right. No, and I get that, but it'll be interesting, I guess. I don't look at their defense as so great. So
it's not elite, but it's good. And if you have an offense that can stay on the field, it can be a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
If your offense is god awful like it has been, then even with the talent they have, nobody looks good when you're on the field all day.
Right.
Well, I understand that, but the problem is that they. I don't know. I didn't watch the Raiders that much. I just feel like that they stunk badly, like just badly. That they weren't very good at all. And the fact that now that they have Tom Brady in there, I feel like that he's just going to muddy the waters.
I mean, I don't know. Like he might have the ability to get some free agents in the room that they weren't able to get before. Yeah, Jay, I mentioned that they absolutely have a great tight end.
They got two great tight ends.
I mean, yes, yeah, but
even Max Mayer was good as a rookie. He was almost non-existent last year because of Brock Bowers. But Max Mayer's rookie season, he was the number one ranked tight end for rookies.
So I've never even heard of either one of those tight ends. So
Brock Bowers is the one from Georgia.
Yeah, Brock Bowers absolutely
like lit it up. Freak of nature at Georgia.
Yeah, no, he absolutely lit it up. Even with a terrible Raiders team, he had a fantastic year.
Yeah, he set a lot of rookie records last year as a tight, like not even like for a tight end, just like a lot of rookie receiving records for like receivers and tight ends last year.
Yeah, and that's with nobody throwing the ball. Yeah. So I mean, if you get somebody confident, should be able to do it.
I'm surprised the Raiders didn't run more double tight end sets with Mayer and Bowers out there because Bowers is like that kind of the do everything tight end versus Max Mayer is a 6'6" red zone threat.
Yeah.
Well, who's their running back?
Zay White or something, or Zaire White, something like that.
Yeah, I mean they had a decent running back. I mean the biggest thing is they just didn't have great quarterback play.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, you could complete passes to your tight end, but they couldn't complete passes anywhere else.
So they don't have any receivers. They got Henry Ruggs is enjoying his time in the penitentiary, and then they got rid of Hunter Renfrow for whatever reason. They got rid of Hunter Renfrow because the guy was only supposed to make $5 million next year.
I know.
Like yeah. Renfro's not like a number one, but he is what that Raiders team needed because he is your possession guy. Like he's the one that will keep drives alive because he catches almost everything.
No, getting rid of Renfrow didn't make any sense to me. But,
Did he even sign with him last year?
They just dropped him?
Yeah, he played the preseason, and the Raiders cut him like right before the final preseason game.
Yeah, he ended up on a roster. I forget where he went, though.
But yeah, he would only be 20. He's only 28 going on 29, so it's not like he's old or anything like that. He's only had one season where he had to battle through injuries. Otherwise, he's been pretty reliable his whole career.
Yeah, no, for sure. And
then why wouldn't he be on a roster then? Like why? There's something going on.
He was on a roster last year. I just can't remember what team he was on.
I don't remember where he went, but he was on a roster.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know that 3 years is enough to really compete in that division. Although you are starting to see KC come back down to earth, despite the fact that they were a 15-win team. Like a lot of those were some very lucky circumstances at the end of games to get them to win. So I don't think it's going to be as hard to compete in that division as it's been. Obviously the Chargers are coming along and the Broncos are coming along, but they're all kind of growing together. And with KC coming back down, I mean, it's a division that you can compete in. It's not the you're just going to get freight trained by KC that it's been for the last 5 years.
But on top of that, I think Kansas City, I'll be honest, I think Kansas City has the potential of only winning 9 or 10 games next year and not even making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think they make it. I think they're like a 10-win team. Is kind of where they.
I wouldn't be surprised if they lose the division next year to the Chargers, though.
It's possible.
I could see the Chargers winning that division next year, but I still think Kansas City gets into the playoffs as like the 6th or the 7th seed.
Yeah,
I disagree. I think that you're basing that off of the coach, and I think that coach is no longer a pro coach anymore. I don't like Harbaugh anymore coaching the team.
I liked what I saw out of the Broncos.
Yeah.
The Broncos came along nicely during the season. So, I mean, if they can take another step forward this offseason, add a couple more pieces, I mean, the Broncos are going to be a real team.
Yeah, the thing with Kansas City, too, is not having Rashee Rice for all year, not having Isaiah Pacheco for all year, basically. Yeah. Those two come back healthy next season. That offense is going to be a lot better as long as they get the protection up front.
No, and that's
why I can't count Kansas City out yet.
No, I think they're a 10-win team. I think they absolutely get into the playoffs.
Oh, well, I guess we'll see, because I think that 10 wins, it's possible they don't make the playoffs.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. Yeah. I think they have a much harder path through their own division than they've had.
Definitely.
Yeah, I believe that they have 4 harder games now rather than just 2. Mm-hmm. And I guess you could almost say 5 because for some reason or another the Raiders always beat them.
Yes.
But beyond that, I think that they have to play the Eagles again next year. So the Eagles now have beaten them twice in a row. 1 regular season and 1 Super Bowl.
See, the book is not out on Kansas City.
No, I always laugh at that too.
We were all Kansas City needs to do is get offensive linemen, and they know that. It's not like the book is out on them. They just know that they had no offensive line in the Super Bowl. They were missing 2 of their key pieces on offense. It's not like they were getting blown up off on all season on the offensive line, because for the most part, Mahomes was protected enough. He wasn't protected great all season, but he was protected enough where he still produced.
Yeah, I mean, losing that tackle in the last 3 weeks was big.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you look at both Super Bowl losses,
it's because they didn't have
tackles were gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know too many players that can overcome your protection just leaving.
Your protection just leaving and not even showing up.
Yeah, they had a bad game, that offensive line.
Oh, it's terrible.
They also said that 2 years ago, that if you give it a better field, that our defensive line would have crushed the offensive line. And they didn't get any sacks because everybody was slipping.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, everybody played on the same field, so there is something to be said for that. But ultimately, it's funny that he said it 2 years ago, and then it came to fruition this year.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for that.
No, I agree. But yeah, there's no, that book is written about every team. If you lose your starting tackles, you're going to struggle.
Yep.
I think the only difference was 2017 when we lost Jason Peters and we had other guys fill in.
Yeah.
So, and then they went up to Detroit, and that's what really turned Detroit around.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Oliver Louis Vitae.
Let's see here. Let's see if this thing actually loaded. Got more on the Myles Garrett action. So I guess it's not going to load.
I've heard 18 reports that the Eagles have him already. I'm like, yeah, sure.
So, so obviously Myles Garrett comes out. Unfortunately, my graphics not going to load, but so for anybody not familiar with it, he put out on NFL Countdown, speaking with the management at the Browns, I don't feel like our future is aligned with winning right now, and that's what I'm looking forward to at this stage of my career. And so this is what their GM came out with yesterday at the Combine.
Has he expressed a scenario in which he'd be comfortable staying in Cleveland?
Honestly, Kimberly, again, for us, Myles is under contract. We love him. He's a good player. So for us, it's really as simple as that. We don't envision a scenario where he's no longer a member of the Cleveland Browns. He's a franchise player for us. So we're going to keep him in Cleveland.
So basically, they're like, we don't care if you're happy. You're here. So
again, I feel like that's gamesmanship.
Oh, of course it is.
You have to do that because you want to get the highest that you can get for them.
Exactly.
It's the moment that you say, yeah, well, we're going to look at other options. No, you can't do that because now you're still asking 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and it's funny because whenever GMs put out statements like this, like half the time the next day the person is traded. They're like, oh yeah, he's our guy. It's a franchise guy. We're definitely keeping him. And breaking news, Ian Rappaport. Yeah. No, it's funny though, because I mean, I agree completely. Like you have to say that because otherwise you just hurt whatever trade value they had.
Right.
100%. So, and I think that it's, like I said, right now, the asking price, that tells me that the asking price is 3 first-rounders plus. Like that's what I'm hearing. Now, I could be wrong.
3 and a player. I could see that.
Or three first-rounders and a third-rounder and a fifth-rounder. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think he gets that kind of haul, but like if you had 3 firsts and they get Garrett and a 5th, and maybe you get a special teamer or something, like I could see something like that happening.
Right.
Wow. I mean, that's possible, but I think that you guys. I know, like I said, they were talking to us, but they wanted 2 first-round picks and Devonta Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, something like that could work.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
No. But, to the wrong team. It is the Browns. Again, draft day, right?
Yeah. Good times with that movie.
And then I wonder what they would even do with that pick. Because, again, you're talking the 32nd pick. I mean, that's part of the reason why you would even consider that is because of how far away you are. Like, it's not a first-round pick. You know what I mean? Like, it's really a second-round pick.
I mean, really, if we're talking true first-round picks, once you're picking 15th, most of those guys generally have like a second-round grade.
Except for this year.
Well, especially if you're talking about line play. Like there's
yeah, because look at this year. Dallas Turner went to Minnesota at number 17. He was looking at being a top 3 pick. And that guy fell to number 17. And then like not Cooper DeJean, but Quinyon Mitchell was number 21, 22. She was grading out as like a top 10 at the beginning of the draft. There was a lot of players last draft that went in the mid-20s that were seen as top 10 picks.
Well, the problem with that, there's only 10 guys that can be a top 10 pick. Yeah. So
right, but the thing is that it really none of those 10 guys really panned out that way.
Yeah.
The top three. Well, top 5 panned out. But then you kind of like 6
Well, I mean-
did not pan out, but the top 5 panned out.
Well, the quarterbacks, I mean, I guess, but I'm not a big fan of Caleb.
You had Malik Neighbors in the top 5. He definitely panned out as a legitimate number 1 option. You had Joe Alt with the Chargers. He panned out. Marvin Harrison Jr. was the only one that really didn't pan out as a top 4 guy, top 5 guy, but
I mean,
he had
I don't
good
put
games
that on
early.
him.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
had
put-
good games early.
Well, and I don't put it on Marvin Harrison Jr. anyway, because even in the games that he was dominating in, they just in the second half of those games decided, we're not going to throw to you anymore. Like the fact that Kyler Murray came out and said it's not my job to get him the ball, which is hilarious as a quarterback because
It is your job to get him the
literally your
ball.
job to get your receivers the ball. I don't put all of that on Harrison Jr. Did he run a complete route tree? No, absolutely not. He was not the most polished receiver. Was he open for a lot of plays that he didn't get the ball? Absolutely. So,
And
yeah,
even
so
even
some of that
Roma
wasn't on
Dun-
him.
and even Roma Dunze at like number 10, he actually panned out to be a legitimate receiver too. Because I think he finished
Sure.
second on the Bears in yards behind DJ Moore.
yeah. I mean, he had moments where he looked good. That was another one where he didn't get a lot of opportunities. But, I mean, he maximized the ones he got.
So like of the top 10 last year, I think a lot of the top 10 actually did pan out last year just because it was such a top heavy draft last year where you had legitimately 15 to 20 guys that you could make a case could all fall in the top 10. And once you got through those 20 guys, then it kind of faded off like, oh, if you're here, you're here.
I mean, the other thing about that is, of course, you're going to have position players that are slated for top 10 talent that didn't make it in the top 10 because there were 5 quarterbacks.
Right.
I mean, there's only 10 in the top 10. So,
Right. That's really what it came down to.
And Rob, they need him. Ernest Jones is a great player. So, like, they'll have to figure if he is a cancer, they're going to have to figure it out. But, like, at some point, you have to retain some of your guys. If you're building a team, you need continuity to happen at some point.
Right. Exactly.
So, I mean, being a part of the Seahawks, Wagner. Now, when you saw Wagner have such a good season, did it actually bother you that you got rid of him in the first place?
I didn't like that we got rid of him the first time where he went to the Rams. I mean, the guy is a turnkey 100 tackle a year linebacker. Does he cover? Is he good in coverage as he used to be? No, but I mean, does he run the defense? 100% he does. He is that leader. And if you watched our defense last year, we needed that leader. That being said, we don't bring him back. Like, he doesn't come back to Seattle.
No. In fact, I can't imagine that they want to get rid of him in Washington.
They are. They are
They're going to move on from him?
They are, yeah. So I would actually kind of bet that he goes to the Raiders.
That wouldn't surprise me. Pete Carroll loved him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, because him leaving Seattle the first time didn't have anything to do with Pete. That had to do with Schneider. Well, Pete's gone. Schneider's still here. So I don't see a scenario where he comes back to Seattle. But I absolutely could see where he could land with the Raiders. And you put Wagner and Crosby together, I like that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you got some guys that like to hit people.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, I could see that. I could see if Lockett gets let go, he might end up as a Raider. And he absolutely will be a cap casualty here in Seattle. I don't see a path where Lockett is still on this team unless he does some pretty crazy restructuring. He's a $31 million cap hit.
Right.
And, for being our third option last year, I think he finished with like 700 yards. The price tag doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
So I would bet either it's going to be a crazy restructure or they're moving on from it. So there's a few ex-Seahawks that could end up down on that Raiders team.
Yeah, especially now. Do you think they would do a trade?
No, nobody's going to trade for that contract. I mean, basically, everybody knows that Seattle has to profit. So basically, they're going to make Seattle eat the contract, and someone will sign them for a couple $1 million, and just smart business. Like you wouldn't trade for that.
Yeah.
Well, what's his cap hit when he gets cut?
So if he gets cut before June, I think it's the full 31. And then if it's after that, I think they can split it over 2 years, right? So I think it'd be like 20 or something. I'd have to look, but so it's kind of like when they got rid of Adams. Tennessee got him for a minute, but I mean they paid that cap hit, and that was another one where it was like, I don't know, $25-30 million to get rid of Jamal Adams.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he was only ever available for, a game or two a season anyway. And then he went to the Titans and, I think he played for 2 games and got hurt. So, in fact, I think he originally got hurt in the first game he played. So you're just like, oh, yeah, I mean, makes sense. So, I think it's one where they're going to move on despite the fact that they're going to eat a pretty wicked cap hit.
Gotcha. But they're gonna have to get rid of him in June.
Well, maybe. I mean, it might be one of those where they're in the final year of Gino's contract, so they just eat that cap this year so that it's off the books next year. So they may get rid of him right away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like so March 11th, rather than have to give him any of that money. But
Exactly.
it's either way, they got to give it to him, right? I mean, that's the problem. They already did give it to him.
Yeah, no, I mean the cap hit's the cap hit. It's just does it all come out this year or does it get split over 2 is really the thing. And if you have to re-sign Gino, then you'd want all of that cap hit to hit during his less expensive year this year, then have it bleed over into next year when he's going to be more expensive.
Right.
So
I tell you, we've been going long this week.
I know. But that does get us to the end of the show, as it turns out. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you are watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we'll see y'all tomorrow, except Stat Guy, because you're done for the week.
Yeah, I'll be done for the weekend.
Right on. Take it easy, everybody.
Later.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports.